Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. I'm so happy to be here with you. Not on my typical day, but on Friday I will be going out of town for the long weekend. And so I figured what better reason to come live than on Concord 9th release day. So Jen and whoever else is here, if you're here behind the scenes, just say hello so I know you're watching. But I'm really grateful to you for tuning in. I don't think this live is going to be super long because I know that a lot of us like to watch Kathy Z at noon Central Time, as I do. So I want to make sure that I don't miss her. Hello, Carrie. Nice to see you, honey. Really nice of you guys to be here. So Concord 9th just came out with their brand new release, and as usual, it is fantastic. And I'm really excited to create a card with you today. I didn't even get to photograph it yet. I put one together last night just so I knew what I was doing with the set, because I always like to be a little professional here on my channel. And so let's go to the down camera, and I'm just going to show you a few things. This is my favorite set from their new release. Let's turn this around. This is called True Story. This is a bundle. You can get it separately with dies and a stamp set, but they work so beautifully together that the bundle is going to be amazing. Oh, Jen already placed her orders. So you just need some inspiration now, Jen. Awesome. So let me just show you what we've got here in this True Story bundle. It is amazing. If you are a book lover, or if you know a book lover, or you just like the look of a stack of books. I used to be a book reader until I had my second kid, and then it all went downhill from there, but someday I will get it back again. So the dies, in the die set, you have 4 different books, different heights, different widths. And the cool thing about this set is that you have the top that cuts the top of your folded card so that you can stack those books up in a row. So a row of 4 fits perfectly across a 4 1/4 wide card base, and this creates your shaped card at the top, which I think is really cool, and it's super easy to use as well. Then you have different things that you can put on your book bindings, which is hello. You have a vine. You have this like Argyle diamond pattern. Then you have these really cool squares, and I'll show you what this cuts out and what this cuts out. This just cuts out the square, but this one has frames and lines, which I think is really cool. This is the top of your folded card. And then you have little florals. You have a scalloped edge. You have a heart. And these little raindrop shapes too, which I just love this set. I just think it's so fun. And when I first saw it, I knew it was going to be a big hit. So if this is something that's in your wheelhouse that you really like, I would say try to get it today while you can. Okay, the stamp set. This is really great because it allows you to create so many different types of cards. You have celebration, gratitude. That's what I'm going to be using today because we are in the season of gratitude. And I know for my Canadians, you have Thanksgiving next week. So lots of thank yous and gratitude going out. Love, friendship. And then you have these smaller sentiments, which I think this is lovely. My heart hurts for you. So great for a sympathy card. Cheers to another year for a birthday. A new chapter in your happily ever after. It's a good day to have a good day. Kind people are my kind of people. And then you have these smaller sentiments that can go at the top or the bottom of the book binding. You also have this diamond pattern, lines, dots. I love this right here, the heart with the heart flower and these little dots here. So this is a really great bundle. It is True Story, and I'm excited to show you what I've prepped to create today. So we are going to be creating this stack of books, and it's been a while since I've reached for Evergreen, and I thought I wanted to do a fall color scheme, but make it a bit more fun, nothing too like orangey and browny. And so I went with Evergreen, Eucalyptus, Grapefruit and Sorbet, Stardust. So these are like, well, some of them are the OG colors. So Grapefruit, Sorbet, and Stardust were my favorite ever colors when I first started using Concord 9th. So, oh, that's so nice, Jen. Jen plans on making cards for her mom and best friends who are both avid readers. That's awesome. And remember, if you're watching on replay, or if you're watching live with me right now, all of the products that I'm talking about today are linked in the video description below. So it's really easy to find them. But even the colors that I used today, I just linked those as well, just in case you didn't catch the name of the color that I was using. Okay, so let me show you what all of these dies look like cut out. Let me go down and get a bit tighter in here so you can see. Okay, so here I have an A2. It is a nice color palette, Carrie, and it's not too stuffy fall. Here is an A2 card base, and all I've done is placed this die at the very top of the card base and ran it through my die cutting machine. So that cut out this shaped top. Now we are going to cover this side, so it doesn't matter that there's like a little stamped sentiment there. I think this was an extra piece of paper I had. But the one thing I will say, and it's really hard to see in the light, if you're die cutting this, this is a really thick sandwich because you have a folded card going through in your typical die cutting sandwich. You want to make sure that you have a nice smooth base to that. So maybe you reserve a cutting plate that you don't use very often, because you will see indentations on the back of your card. You can kind of see it here. You can see indentations on the back of your card. So anything that's in your cutting plate, like in the surface of your cutting plate, you're going to see it and feel it here. So just a heads up, if you use a really cut up cutting plate, you're going to see that on the back of your card. Okay. And mine's fairly new. I have the magnetic mat. I'll show you guys, and it's not too bad, but I can still see it. The other thing I want to say is I love the magnetic mat. It's great, and just like with any other mat or cutting surface, little teeny tiny pieces of paper, like these little red dots, they do get stuck on the surface, and you definitely want to make sure that you take a spatula tool or something like that to get those off, because they will make marks on your paper no matter what you're die cutting. If you have something underneath of it, even if it's that small, you're going to see it when you die cut. Okay, so that's just a little public service announcement for today. All right, so die cuts. So take a look at what we have here. So my wide book we're doing with Evergreen. The next one is going to be Grapefruit, which I love Evergreen and Grapefruit together. I think it's beautiful just right next to each other. And again, that's because they are contrasting colors. You have that reddish tone and the green, and they just look beautiful together. My skinny book is the Stardust, and my short fat book is Eucalyptus. So I have those cut out from my 4 books. Then I have the Argyle pattern, and we're going to do a little bit of inlay. So I cut this out of champagne cardstock, which is, you know, my favorite foil cardstock. I think it's a really nice mix between gold and silver, so it doesn't have some of that brassiness of gold. Hey, Jenny G, nice to see you here. Thanks for coming by. And then I cut it also out of the Evergreen, so I had the pieces to inlay, which I think that's great. So that means that I have like Evergreen ones laying around for my next card. Then I used these 2 squares here to cut all of these squares. And I used this one here, the frames, to cut the champagne frames. But what it also cuts are 3 lines. So just that little straight line, this cuts 3 of those. So you get 2 frames and 3 lines when you use that die. I also used the 4 flowers to cut out of Evergreen. Then I cut the posy, like this one here, out of Grapefruit and Sorbet. And I also did the scallop out of Sorbet. So let me just show you how easy this is to put together. Now, these are going to need to be trimmed down, and before you adhere them, you want to make sure that you stamp on them, because it's a lot harder to stamp on a folded card base than it is to stamp on a single piece of cardstock. Now this one here, I will not be stamping on in my MISTI, so I don't have to worry about that one. This one is the one that I definitely have to use a MISTI for. And just notice, and it's according to how far down you put your cutting die, this one here for the shape top, you're gonna have to cut a tiny bit off of the bottom. Now I put my shape die at the very top of my A2 folded card base. If you put it a bit further down, like let me show you this one. This one I put it a bit further down, so it's a shorter card. Look how much shorter it is, by like over 1/4 of an inch. So I had to cut quite a bit off of that, which meant that I had to line up my book first on that background and figure out where it was going to hit so that I knew where to stamp. Yes, Carrie, it would make a beautiful scrapbook page if you lined these books up along the bottom of a scrapbook layout. Absolutely. Okay, so this green panel is not going to be stamped on the green panel. We're going to stamp on the eucalyptus instead. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. Just grab my glue here. They do think of everything, Jen. Hey, Denise. You're not late. You're perfect. We were just getting into creating our card. I'm focusing today on the True Story bundle from Concord 9th. But at the end of the live, I'm going to show you another card I created that you'll find a video for on a video by me on the Scrapbook and Cards Today channel tomorrow. So I'm excited to share that. I'm excited I got another video in this week because I've been a little busy. The clubs from Spellbinders released the other day, and so got in a quick video for those. So if you haven't seen that, it's on my channel now, which I'm excited about. Okay, so this one is there. Now let's go ahead and take out our MISTI. Now you can see just a tiny bit, probably like a 1/16 of an inch is going to have to be cut off. So not a big deal at all. Now this one here, I've got a little boo-boo down at the bottom. So that's definitely going to go along the bottom. Always take a look at that before you decide where you're going to, how you're going to adhere your paper. Is there anything that needs to be cut off? Because often when I craft, something might need to be cut off. Okay, the first thing I'm going to stamp is You're the Best. Now I have a sticky mat from scrapbook.com here because this is really tiny, so we can't really use our magnets. Using a magnet with something so small in a die cut is really hard to do. Look how small it is. It's like so small on my camera. So you can do Thanks so much, You're the Best, Grateful. I like You're the Best. I think that's a good one. And these are all sized perfectly for these small squares, which I think is very clever. As Jen said, Concord 9th thinks of everything all the time. And I'm pushing this down in the bottom, and I'm putting my head over to make sure that that is centered right about there. And then we're going to pick it up. I'm going to stamp with, and I had to make sure my ink was here. I'm going to stamp with Evergreen. I have just 3 different ink colors, Evergreen, Sorbet, and Stardust here. Now these are the kind of sentiments that are nice and delicate. You don't want to mush, so don't push down hard, just a gentle touch. Just like that. I didn't even get my stamping tool out for that one. Okay. Oh, there's 10 people here. That's so nice. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Appreciate you taking the time to stop by my channel. I know it's going to be a busy YouTube day with all the fun going on with this release. Okay, so we have You're the Best. And now we can put together that first book. All right, so I'm going to grab this again, and you know what, I don't want to lose my book, so I'm going to put these back in with all of my die cuts. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our little frames here and kind of eyeball where we want to put them. Now, if you have enough space, you can put the lines in between each of these squares. But for me, I'm going to just evenly space the squares. I actually did a little line on this, like on this argyle pattern over here. Okay, so once you get these in place, kind of eyeball where you want them to go. Try to make sure that you space them out evenly, but you know, nothing's ever perfect. This is a handmade card, so don't stress if you can't get it just right. It will still look beautiful, and your recipient is still going to be wowed by this card. Hey, Simon, my friend. I really enjoyed watching you last night on Gina K. That was so fun. Thank you for stopping by my channel. That's so nice of you. Yeah, if you missed it, Simon was live with Gina K in her studio last night, which I think should happen a lot more often, showing off his Astro Paste. And this is a product that Simon has come out with in the last couple of months that I just love. They are so amazing. So be sure to check out that video. Check out Simon's Astro Paste. I've used them on several projects and they are so fun to create with. Okay, so when I do the top one, I like to go ahead and do the bottom one just so I have those like evenly spaced. That's kind of how I do it. I start at the ends and then I work my way to the center. Simon, I was also going to send you some Snoop Dogg lyrics since you have to play that role. And I'm sure being a Gen Zer, you don't know Snoop Dogg lyrics, so I was going to school you. Just to let you know, that's probably coming your way. You need to know. At least Gin and Juice or something like that. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge hip-hop music fan. And so I grew up when I was in my teens listening to lots of hip-hop and Snoop Dogg. And so I know a lot of lyrics. Probably ones that I shouldn't have known when I was 13 and 14 years old, but that's, you know, that's okay. We all have our vices. Hip hop is mine. And there could be worse ones, I think. All right, we're making a book card and talking about Snoop Dogg. Oh my gosh, Simon only knows him as Martha's bestie. Man. Okay, Simon, you need to be schooled. Absolutely. We need a reason to get together so that we can do this. Okay. That looks pretty good. I think I got those pretty evenly spaced. And I think that's the hardest part of this card right there. Just getting those down. Done, right? It's pretty, that part is pretty difficult. Okay. Just to try to get them on without putting my head over the camera. I love how Carrie thinks that's funny. Yes. Okay. So if you guys don't know Simon, please go follow him everywhere. He is wonderful and he's funny and he creates great products, including a new Spellbinders release coming out tomorrow, I think, right, Simon? Is that right? Okay. So now we're going to put the eucalyptus panels in the middle of these champagne frames. And this is not inlay because it's not going all the way to the edge, but you're just centering them right in the middle. And it looks, you know, like the side of a book. Now, how many of you guys, my students knew him as Uncle Snoop, that's funny. How many of you guys are as old as me and remember like your mom getting Reader's Digest books? Because my mom is a huge reader and she's probably not going to be watching, but we always had shelves full of Reader's Digest books. And then we would go to antique malls and antique things and she would get more Reader's Digest books. And the thing that I loved about them, they're kind of a shortened, abridged version of a full book, which is kind of fun. But they actually have the most beautiful colors and covers and patterns on the sides. And I think that what grabbed me about this set was that it reminded me of those Reader's Digest books that we used to get for our household when we were kids. So let me know in a comment, if you're watching on replay, tell me if you ever had Reader's Digest books in your house, because that's definitely, if you were a kid of, you know, the 80s, I guess 90s too, I guess they had them in the 90s, then you will be right there with me too. Okay, so these little flowers I'm putting in the center of each of these squares to finish off this book. And that's how easy this is. You really just build whatever you want on these books. You can make them as simple or as intricate as you'd like. Gail says, love to read the funnies and jokes. Yes, yes, that's so good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who remembers those. I just loved being able to get a hold of like adult books, you know, not like adult, like not X-rated adult, but like, you know, books that were probably a little bit over my head, but I had a higher reading level than most of my peers. So even if it wasn't totally appropriate, then I could still read it. Look how cute that is. Isn't that lovely? Yes, Miss Whitlock says, yes, they look the same. And they were all different. And they had these beautiful patterns on them that I love. Here's what I love about glue is that if you notice that it's just a little bit off, it's going to be movable for a minute or two, so you can kind of shift it. Okay, book 1 is done. Let's move on to book 2. Now, book 2 is going to be completely stamped. Jenny says, I'm older than you, and yes, we definitely had volumes of hardbound Reader's Digest books. I love that. Oh, hold on, I need my grip mat here, because on this one, now Evergreen is a really dark color, and because I put so much on this book, I didn't really use any ink blending. But for this book, to kind of make it look a little bit more curved on the spine, I'm going to just ink blend the edges. And whenever you have something that you want to look more rounded, it's a good idea to just do a little bit of ink blend. So I'm using Sorbet, but nice and light. Okay, we don't want it to get too crazy here. Just to add a little bit of shadow effect for our second book. I can't wait till everyone who orders this set, you know, gets a hold of it and starts creating with it, because I love seeing when people get their orders, things start popping up in my feed, and I love seeing everyone's different color combinations. Like today I went with kind of a different fall color combination, but I love seeing when people use brighter colors and things that I would not normally go for. They always look really great when they pop up on my feed. Okay, so just a really light blend along those edges. You can see just a little bit darker on the edges. I'm going to put Sorbet nearby, and I'm going to put my first book over there because I do not want to get any ink on it. Okay, clean that up and grab my MISTI. Let me back up a little bit for you guys. You can see that my MISTI is looking a little bit dirty here. I need to give it a good clean. How many of you guys have dirty MISTIs, right? They're well loved. Okay, making sure this is in the bottom right corner. I'm going to put my book right there, and I'm going to grab Gratitude. I think this is a beautiful sentiment with a really nice font. And because I'm kind of A-type, I have to look at things from the side when I line them up. If it's vertical, I'm not going to be able to tell if it's straight. So I'm just going to line this one up here. I also want to make it a little bit further toward the bottom than I do the top, because at the top, we're going to be stamping the little flower with the heart and the lines. And we're just doing those lines right on the bottom. So just line that up. Make sure that's stuck down and in the bottom right corner. Pick up your stamp. Okay, and I'm going to ink it up with Sorbet, which is the darker version of Grapefruit. So tell me what you guys added to your Concord 9th cart. Are you waiting to watch everybody's videos today to decide? because I know that some of you do that. Now, I already primed this stamp last night, which means that I inked it up with a, I'm not using my tool here. I inked it up with, not inked it up, I used an eraser on it to kind of like prep that stamp, and I've already stamped with it. So if you're just getting this out of the package, remember that you kind of want to prime that stamp before you start inking it up, and it'll give you a better result. Okay, that's good. We can put gratitude aside. And then I'm going to grab our lines. So this is just the 2 lines. And I love having the grid down here because I'm going to line up the top of my stamp on my grid line. It's a great thing about having some kind of grid down here. Now I have a piece of grid paper below, and then this scrapbook.com sticky mat has a grid as well. So really easy to see with either of those. And this one's just going to need a light touch there. I'm going to give it 2. Jen says, my parents didn't buy Reader's Digest, however, we had the encyclopedias. Yes, we had a big set of encyclopedias as well. I think ours, though, were from when my mom was in school. So they were a bit out of date, but my brother and I loved looking at them, like the pictures and everything. But they really had out of date information because they were like from, I feel like they were from the early 70s. And by the time it was like 1990, most of that was not relevant anymore. Does anybody remember like encyclopedias? Like they cost so much money and you had to replace them every few years or else the information was just irrelevant. It's crazy. Okay, had to be careful because there was a smudge on my door. Okay, so then we have the lines. I'm not going to move this just yet because I want to stamp the flower. And here is the flower. I love this. I think it's so pretty. And it's perfect for a gratitude card, like that flower with the heart. And just trying to get that right in the center. That looks about right. Oh, I'm going to stand and look over the top. Okay. There we go. And I'm stamping this in Sorbet again. Just like that. We would read encyclopedias for fun, I know. But Simon, it was more about the pictures than it was anything else because they always had really good, you know, quality pictures in there because remember at this time, Simon, we didn't have the internet. We couldn't Google anything. So therefore, encyclopedias like was our Google. Can you believe that? It's crazy to think about. I heard something the other day that said, like, how crazy is it that we're the last generation of people who remember what it was like before the internet existed? And that kind of blew my mind a little bit. That's absolutely true. Like my kids will never know what it's like to live without the internet or Google or Siri or, you know, it's crazy. We actually had to learn how to spell. Amazing. Okay. So gratitude is going to go right about here, and I'm going to make sure that I get this tight at the top and bottom so that it covers up my folded card base. Now you could add other things on here in die cuts, but I just did the stamped sentiments on this one. I like to switch up the books when things are together, switch up the colors. You know, I kept with the same like 5 colors, but I just mixed and matched them on each book. True Google is so nice. It is so nice, yes. Yeah, before we used to have to go to books for, if we wanted to know, like, where does this animal live or something like that? How does an engine work? We used to have to go to an encyclopedia, Simon. Isn't that crazy? It's old. I'm old. Okay. I'm pushing that right up against my Evergreen card, making sure it's nice and straight. And you want to really make sure that your first book is straight, because if your first book is straight, the rest of them are not going to be straight either. I had the Tell Me Why books. Yes. I was obsessed with those. I love this conversation. Obsessed. My brother loved those too. My brother loved those too. I should call him today and say, oh my gosh, I remembered something. Thanks, Jenny. You've inspired an entire conversation that I have with my brother. Bye, Simon. Can't wait for everyone to see your release, and I have it, and I'm going to create with it soon, okay? Have a great day. Thank you for coming on. All right, so for this one, this is my Stardust book. This one is just going to be die cuts, and then we're going to add a little bit of stamped dots afterward. So you see how fast this card comes together. Once you have the things die cut, it is really all about just putting it together. And I love that. I love when you can, prep for some things, cut it out of lots of different cardstock in one go, and then you can just sit there and play. That's the most fun. So on this one, I built a little flower. So let me go ahead and do that. So my little flower is grapefruit and sorbet. And I'm going to get my pickup tool here and my tweezers, which I've lost. Where did my tweezers go? I do this all the time. I put my tweezers down and oh, they're right here, right there. I put them down all the time and then lose them. Carrie says, I remember digging through card catalogs to research reports. I know. Luckily, they do still have card catalogs, but they're online at the library, because I do make my daughter actually school teaches them how to, research things at a library, which is quite nice. So they still have to recall numbers and stuff like that. But yes, the catalogs are now all online. So there's grapefruit on top, sorbet on the back, and then we're going to put that on this little leaf right here. I'm going to move this off to the side. Hey, Marisha. I know, it's so fun, isn't it? It's so pretty. Nice to see you. I love that Simon came on and Marisha came on. People that I love in this industry who are making things and doing cool things. And so go check out Marisha too, if you don't already follow her. Okay, and then I'm going to take the little scalloped edge and we're going to put that at the bottom. This is a really sweet and simple little book here. Nothing fancy. You could have done inlay like on this, but I didn't. I did inlay on the last one. Just make sure that you center this little scalloped edge, just like that. Gail says, it's amazing we grew up and got jobs with only encyclopedias. Oh, I know. We did get, you know what, Gail? We were smart. We had to do our own research. We had to learn how to spell. We had to learn how to type. My daughter's still not taken like a typing class, which really worries me. I'm doing well, Marisha. I hope you are too. It really worries me that she hasn't learned how to type properly. And that might be something that I need to do for her, because from first grade, we were in there with True Type, with the little car game, learning how to type. And I'm a fast typer. My husband grew up in the UK, did not learn how to type ever, went to like fancy boarding schools and did not learn how to type. And I'm like, how can you not type? I don't understand. But people type on their phones and their tablets now, so they don't really, my kid uses a tablet all day at school. So she can't really type. And so that's something I need to work on. But yes, we did really well, Gail, to do as well as we did. All right, let me see. Can I put something else at the top? I wonder if I can fit something else up there. This is so pretty. And I switched up the colors just slightly because on this one I did a starburst and sorbet flower. And you couldn't really see with the starburst, so I switched that out. Fun fact, Starburst used to be my favorite color when I started creating with Concord 9th products. There's something about this yellow that I just love. Just think it's different, right? It's just different. Okay, can we stamp something up here? So I have Grateful on the next one below, but maybe we can do true story at the top. That'll be fun, right? Yeah, Jen says her niece has a computer program that teaches her how to type. I need to research that. I need to get that for my daughter. And Jen says, remember microfiche to look up old newspapers. Yes. Isn't that just crazy? When I think of the way like we used to have to do things, it was so much harder, so much more difficult as kids. It's nuts to think about. Okay, I'm gonna put true story at the top because I can fit it on this one. My card that I'm creating live with you today is a little bit taller than the one I created yesterday because I just cut it off. Now let me show you. I have a eraser, a gum eraser, and I just wipe the edge of that stamp, and you can kind of brush it with your finger to get any of the eraser gunk off of it. But that just helps to prime your stamp. And then I'm going to ink it up with Evergreen. And make sure that if you already have your die cuts in place and you're stamping, that there's no excess ink on your door. Cute. I like that. I like having that true story at the top. Let's do one more. Okay. So just want to say, everyone who is in the path of Milton, we're thinking about you. This crafting community is amazing, and you know, I just pray that it's not going to be as they are predicting, but I hope everyone is safe. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and adhere true story on here. Oh, they no longer teach cursive writing, Marisha. So my daughter learned cursive writing here in Illinois, and I was so glad because I think cursive is so important. I do. Like I just think it's still important to know how to write in cursive. And yeah, so she learned, and she has a really good cursive penmanship too, which is nice. I don't even know if I'm going to trim off the bottom of these books because there's literally a 1/16 of an inch in it. And I kind of like that nice rounded edge on the bottom. So I don't think I'm going to do that. You know what this reminds me of? Like Beauty and the Beast. Doesn't it, for all my fellow Disney fans? Okay, for this one, let's ink it up. So I'm going to grab, what did I have to ink up? My grip mat. I'm going to put it here with some Evergreen. But again, we're going to do it super light. Let me find my green brush. Super light for Evergreen, because Evergreen is a dark color. Ooh, sometimes when your grip mat is really clean, your brush can stick to it and kind of stop it from moving. So have you guys ever had that happen? So I'm going to do it on glass here. And this is just going to give it that rounded edge look. I love blending on my die cuts because it really gives them a more kind of lifelike quality. Super pretty. And you know, Eucalyptus is one of my favorite Concord 9th colors. When I was a guest last month, we had to say what our favorite colors were. And for me, it's the greens. I'm talking Eucalyptus. I'm talking, what else? Eucalyptus, juniper. Oh, juniper is like my ideal color. I could do juniper all day, every day in my house, on every card. Yes, Marisha, I don't know how old you are, but if you were a kid in the 90s, like you have lifelong memories of seeing Beauty and the Beast for the first time. Because I will never forget seeing that movie and just being blown away by the effects in it as a kid of the 90s. Since we're talking about, you know, since we're all reminiscing about encyclopedias and things of the past. Okay, for this one, I just did Grateful down at the bottom. So I'm going to put my stamps back. I don't want to lose any of my stamps. This Grateful is a different font, which I think is quite nice because it just changes up the look of the card. There's 3 different fonts that I've used. And what I did here was I put it toward the bottom of the book, just like that. And I also want to make sure that I'm leaving enough room. Now I trimmed mine, so I'm going to trim mine down to 4. So that looks about right. Okay. I'll show you how to trim those little argyle pieces too. This one can be a tricky one to line up straight, so just make sure you take your time and line that one up. Ooh, let's see here. Oh, I didn't get my tea. Sometimes it's easier to look through the door when you have it down, like that. Okay, wow, super pretty, nice and dark. Clean that off, and that's our last thing we have to stamp. Oh, actually, I forgot to stamp the little dots. Let's go back and do that. Okay, so the little dots on here, and this one is something that you can just do some hand stamping. Always have a acrylic block on my desk because for something like this, it would just take too long to place with the MISTI, and so it's just better to hand stamp, especially if it's like tiny, something tiny. So you want to make sure when you're doing this, you don't get any ink on your acrylic block, and if you get some on, you want to wipe it off right away because that is going to hit something on your card, right? And just stamp your little dots here, there, and everywhere. I usually do things in 5s, but we're going to go with 4, I think, for this one, or maybe one more at the bottom. We'll do 5. Cute. And those will dry a little bit lighter, so they might look quite dark right now, but those are going to dry down. Okay, so we stamped our grateful on this one. I'm going to take my scissors. Let me just grab these, my Pro Shears. These are nice and sharp, and I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to cut 1 diamond off to make it a little bit shorter because I added that grateful to the bottom. Really easy to do that. So I'm going to place that there like that, and then I'm going to take the little line and place that down at the bottom. How pretty is that? Okay. I just love the way this comes together and how every card you make can be completely different and just unique. I just think it's so special. This is such a special card to give to someone that doesn't take too much effort. It's mostly die cutting. You know, very little products are needed for this besides the bundle, cardstock, and ink, because I did not add anything else. Like I didn't add any embellishment, nothing like that. Okay. So get that in place. Make sure that is centered before that glue dries. Press that down. And then while that's sitting there, I can do my little line. Okay. The other thing that we're a big proponent of in our household is libraries. So we don't buy a lot of books. I used to be a member of like Book of the Month, and then my mom became a member of Book of the Month, and it just made more sense for her to be the member because she actually has time to read. Let's see if I got that straight. And so, you know, my daughter always wants to buy books, but we would rather spend the money giving it to the library. So donate to the library, you know, programs, obviously your tax dollars go to the library, but donate to programs at the library. We do a lot of that too. So that's really fun. Okay. Libraries are amazing. They have so many amazing programs too, besides just, you know, books, especially ours does. Okay, look at that. Isn't that pretty? So when you add that inlay, it just elevates it. It really does. It just adds something to it. And you can even go the extra step, and we could cut out those tiny little diamonds to go in the center. Should we do that? We could do that and do that in Sorbet. Just finish it off with a bang, right? Right before we have to go live with Kathy, because Kathy goes live at noon Central. So this is a sweet sweet and simple card. Just putting stuff together. It's one of those things that I love, the fact that Concord 9th always designs products that you don't really have to overthink, because they've figured out the best way for it to go together, and you just have to execute it in the colors that you want. Okay, let's grab some sorbet. Look at my bag of tricks here. Look, here we go. See if I can get 4 of those teeny tiny diamonds out of here. And I'm going to grab my Scout, put that aside, because the Scout is really great for most of these, except for your folded base, because they're all nice and thin. So you could just use your little Scout machine. And I just need to focus on those center, gotta turn around, just those center diamonds. So I'm not going to even worry here that I'm not going to get all of the diamonds, all of the rest. I'm going to grab some mint tape. If you guys don't have a mint tape dispenser, they're so handy. I think I put that on my list. But, okay, here we go. Just going to run this through my Scout. I do like to usually do this with the entire shape, because then you have that shape for another card. And so, you know, when you do inlay, it's just such a good idea to go ahead and cut the whole thing out, so then you have the pieces on hand to keep creating with. And you guys have seen me do quite a lot of inlay, because I do love them. I love inlay. I think they're a really great bang for your buck kind of product. Okay, so there's my 3, and the 4th one is here. 4th one is right there. And I'm going to just put my Platinum Scout aside. And I think that this piece of sorbet is finally done. I keep my cardstocks for just forever. I keep them forever until the very last tiny piece is done. So there's 4 little diamonds, and we're going to put these little sorbet ones in here. So this card turned out a little bit differently than the one I made last night. And I like that. And I love this addition of sorbet. It just brings that color over to this side of the card. And you know what? If you got really crazy, should we go crazy and just do the inside of those little flowers sorbet? I think we should. It's just in the details, you guys. It's just the details. Let's do it. Let's do it. We have time. We have a couple minutes before Kathy. We can take a bio break and go see what Kathy does with Christina's new release, I think. I think that's what she said she was using in her email this morning. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little snip snip so I can put this on my Scout. Going a bit overboard here, but you know, that's okay. And get this off. So did you guys know that they have magic mats for the Scout? But I heard from the grapevine that they are coming out with the magnetic mat for the Scout. So be sure to check on that. Yes, Jen, so many possibilities. I wonder if yes, you ordered it since you have friends who are readers. And so I can't wait to see what you create with it, Jen. All right, let me do this. I think this is easier. Sometimes I use my magic mat and I'll just keep the die cuts on it in place. So all you have to do is just put a tiny bit of glue in the centers, just like that, just a teeny touch, and then you can pick up the center of your flower from your magic mat, because sometimes where it gets really tricky is if you try to get it off your magic mat, and especially when they're this small, they'll get turned upside down, and once something gets turned upside down, it's like a little turtle. It's really hard to get it back over. Look at that. I love, okay, I'm glad I did that. Just a little touch. And I've already told Greg, I told Greg last month after, you know, the holiday release, which was amazing. And holiday release products are back in stock. So if you guys were waiting to like bundle your shipping, be sure to check that out. I have videos up of all of the Concord 9th holiday release from last month. but I told Greg that we needed some champagne dots. Like I need a champagne dot. They have gold and they have silver, but we need champagne. Oh, Carrie, it is a great size. You would love the Scout. Yes, you would love it. It's linked on all of my videos now because I feel like I use it every time I create. Because if I just have a die that's small enough, I'll just use the Scout. Or sometimes I'll cut down my paper, you know, so that I just can use the Scout, especially when I have to turn around. It's so much easier. How cute is that, you guys? Isn't that adorable? So a little bit different than the card I created yesterday, which is where did I do? What did I do with my card from yesterday? Oh, okay. So yeah, I just did a little bit more, inlay. Love that. I added the true story to the top. This one's a little bit taller. So remember, you can create a shorter card if you want to. It's all according to where you put this die. And this die is the one that cuts off the top of your folded card base. So I can't wait to see what color combinations you use, what you create these cards for. Really fun, just a really fun set to create with. Now let me give you a little sneak peek since you guys waited till the very end. 10 of you waited. Okay, and if you're watching on replay, this is coming out tomorrow, which is Thursday, October 10th on the SCT YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to the SCT YouTube channel so you'll see this video. So fun. So on this one, I use the Cottage dies, the Cottage stencil pack. Is that right? Cottage Charm stencil pack, and then that tea set, and look how pretty, you guys. So full process video going up tomorrow on the SCT Magazine YouTube channel for this one. Very excited about it. Okay, let me go to my face cam so you can see me. What a fun card, you guys, right? I love it. It probably should go to my mom because she loves to read. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for being here. Everyone who's watching on replay, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you like what you saw. And, you know, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, for watching my videos on my channel. Don't forget, I have another video out this week featuring the Spellbinders Club kits and very, very cute cards. So go check those out if you're still in the Christmas card making spirit. Thank you, Marisha. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Go and watch Kathy and see what she creates with this release too, okay? Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and happy creating.